What happens when a spiritual seeker encounters both the sublime and the harsh realities of life on their quest for truth? Journey with us as Swami Vivekananda faces daunting challenges, engages with remarkable souls, and begins to shape his vision for India's future. Welcome back to our exploration of Swami Vivekananda's life. In this episode, we follow Narendra's transformative journey through sacred and historical sites in India as he confronts personal and social challenges and grapples with his mission for his homeland. From facing a troop of monkeys in Varanasi to delving deep into the socio-spiritual issues of his time, discover how these experiences shaped his revolutionary vision for India's spiritual and social revival. In Varanasi, one day, hotly pursued by a troop of monkeys, he was running away when a monk called to him, "Face the brutes!" He stopped and looked defiantly at the ugly beasts. They quickly disappeared. Later, as a preacher, he sometimes used this experience to exhort people to face the dangers and vicissitudes of life and not run away from them. After a few days, Naren returned to Baranagar and plunged into meditation, study, and religious discourses. From this time, he began to feel a vague premonition of his future mission. He often asked himself if such truths of the Vedanta philosophy as the divinity of the soul and the unity of existence should remain imprisoned in the worm-eaten pages of the scriptures to furnish a pastime for erudite scholars, or to be enjoyed only by solitary monks in caves and the depths of the wilderness. Did they not have any significance for the average man struggling with life's problems? Must the common man, because of his ignorance of the scriptures, be shut out from the light of Vedanta? Narendra spoke to his brother disciples about the necessity of preaching the strength-giving message of the Vedanta philosophy to one and all, and especially to the downtrodden masses. But these monks were eager for their own salvation and protested. Naren said to them angrily, "All are preaching. What they do unconsciously, I will do consciously. Even if you, my brother monks, stand in my way, I will go to the pariahs and preach in the lowest slums." After remaining at Baranagar a short while, Naren set out again for Varanasi, where he met the Sanskrit scholar Pramadadas Mitra. These two felt for each other a mutual respect and affection, and they discussed, both orally and through letters, the social customs of the Hindus and abstruse passages of the scriptures. Next he visited Ayodhya, the ancient capital of Rama, the hero of the Ramayana. Lucknow, a city of gardens and palaces created by the Muslim Nawabs, filled his mind with the glorious memories of Islamic rule, and the sight of the Taj Mahal in Agra brought tears to his eyes. In Vrindavan, he recalled the many incidents of Krishna's life and was deeply moved. While on his way to Vrindavan, trudging barefoot and penniless, Naren saw a man seated by the roadside enjoying a smoke. He asked the stranger to give him a puff from his tobacco bowl, but the man was an untouchable and shrank from such an act, for it was considered sacrilegious by Hindu society. Naren continued on his way, but said to himself suddenly, "What a shame! The whole of my life I have contemplated the non-duality of the soul, and now I am thrown into the whirlpool of the caste system. How difficult it is to get over innate tendencies." He returned to the untouchable, begged him to lend him his smoking pipe, and in spite of the remonstrances of the low-caste man, enjoyed a hearty smoke and went on to Vrindavan. Next we find Naren at the railroad station of Hathras, on his way to the sacred pilgrimage center of Haridwar in the foothills of the Himalayas. The station master, Sharat Chandragupta, was fascinated at the very first sight of him. "I followed the two diabolical eyes," he said later. Narendra accepted Sharat as a disciple and called him the child of my spirit. At Hathras, he discussed with visitors the doctrines of Hinduism and entertained them with music. And then one day confided to Sharat that he must move on. "My son," he said, "I have a great mission to fulfill, and I am in despair at the smallness of my power. My guru asked me to dedicate my life to the regeneration of my motherland, spirituality has fallen to a low ebb and starvation stalks the land. India must become dynamic again and earn the respect of the world through her spiritual power. Sharat immediately renounced the world and accompanied Narendra from Hathras to Haridwar. The two then went on to Rishikesh, on the bank of the Ganga several miles north of Haridwar, where they found themselves among monks of various sects who were practicing meditation and austerities. Presently Sharat fell ill and his companion took him back to Hathras for treatment, but Narain too had been attacked with malaria fever at Rishikesh. He now made his way to the Baranagore monastery. Narain had now seen northern India, the Aryavata, the sacred land of the Aryans, where the spiritual culture of India had originated and developed. The mainstream of this ancient Indian culture, issuing from the Vedas and the Upanishads and branching off into the Puranas and the Tantras, was subsequently enriched by contributions from such foreign peoples as the Sacs, the Huns, the Greeks, the Parthans, and the Mughals. Thus, India developed a unique civilization based upon the ideal of unity in diversity. Some of the foreign elements were entirely absorbed into the traditional Hindu consciousness. Others, though flavored by the ancient thought of the land, retained their individuality. Realizing the spiritual unity of India and Asia, Narendra discovered the distinctive characteristics of Oriental civilization, renunciation of the finite and communion with the infinite. But the stagnant life of the Indian masses, for which he chiefly blamed the priests and the landlords, saddened his heart. Narain found that his country's downfall had not been caused by religion. On the contrary, as long as India had clung to her religious ideals, the country had overflowed with material prosperity. But the enjoyment of power for a long time had corrupted the priests. The people at large were debarred from true knowledge of religion, and the Vedas, the source of the Hindu culture, were completely forgotten, especially in Bengal. Moreover, the caste system, which had originally been devised to emphasize the organic unity of Hindu society, was now petrified. Its real purpose had been to protect the weak from the ruthless competition of the strong and to vindicate the supremacy of spiritual knowledge over the power of military weapons, wealth, and organized labor, but now it was sapping the vitality of the masses. Narendra wanted to throw open the man-making wisdom of the Vedas to all, and thus bring about the regeneration of his motherland. He therefore encouraged his brothers at the Barangar monastery to study the grammar of Panini, without which one could not acquire first-hand knowledge of the Vedas. The spirit of democracy and equality in Islam appealed to Narain's mind, and he wanted to create a new India with Vedantic brain and Muslim body. Further, the idea began to dawn in his mind that the material conditions of the masses could not be improved without the knowledge of science and technology as developed in the West. He was already dreaming of building a bridge to join the East and the West. But the true leadership of India would have to spring from the soil of the country. Again and again he recalled that Sri Ramakrishna had been a genuine product of the Indian soil, and he realized that India would regain her unity and solidarity through the understanding of the Master's spiritual experiences. Narain again became restless to do something, but what, he did not know. He wanted to run away from his relatives since he could not bear the sight of their poverty. He was eager to forget the world through meditation. During the last part of December 1889, therefore, he again struck out from the Baranagore monastery and turned his face towards Varanasi. "My idea," he wrote to a friend, "is to live in Varanasi for some time and to watch how Vishwanath and Annapurna deal out my lot. I have resolved either to realize my ideal or to lay down my life in the effort, so help me, Lord of Varanasi." On his way to Varanasi, he heard that Swami Yogananda, one of his brother disciples, was lying ill in Allahabad and decided to proceed there immediately. In Allahabad, he met a Muslim saint, every line and curve of whose face showed that he was a Paramahamsa. Next, he went to Ghazipur, and there he came to know the Saint Pavari Baba, the air-eating holy man. Pavari Baba was born near Varanasi of Brahmin parents. In his youth, he had mastered many branches of Hindu philosophy, Later, he renounced the world, led an austere life, practiced the disciplines of yoga and Vedanta, and traveled over the whole of India. At last, he settled in Ghazipur, where he built an underground hermitage on the bank of the Ganga and spent most of his time in meditation. He lived on practically nothing, and so was given by the people the sobriquet of the air-eating holy man. All were impressed by his humility and spirit of service. Once he was bitten by a cobra and said while suffering terrible pain, "Oh, he was a messenger from my beloved." Another day a dog ran off with his bread and he followed, praying humbly, "Please wait, my lord, let me butter the bread for you." Often he would give away his meager food to beggars or wandering monks and starve. Pavari Baba had heard of Sri Ramakrishna, held him in high respect as a divine incarnation, and kept in his room a photograph of the master. People from far and near visited the Baba, and when not engaged in meditation, he would talk to them from behind a wall. For several days before his death, he remained indoors. Then, one day, people noticed smoke issuing from his underground cell with the smell of burning flesh. It was discovered that the saint, having come to realize the approaching end of his earthly life, had offered his body as the last oblation to the Lord in an act of supreme sacrifice. In our next episode, we will delve into Swami Vivekananda's profound inner struggles and his evolving vision for India, witness his battle with personal ailments, the divine revelations that redirected his path, and the growing realization of his monumental mission. Join us as we uncover the turning points that set the stage for his transformative journey across India. Thank you for listening till the end. Please subscribe, turn on the notifications, like, comment, and share with your friends. This will help more listeners to discover our channel and content.